Hey there guys, and welcome to the Monday tutorial. Today we're showing you how to make your detonationfilms.com explosions look even cooler by adding some color correction and camera shake. And this is kind of what I mean. As we can see, that looks pretty professional. With the before and after, we can see a big difference there. So that's pretty much what we're going to do today. And on that note, let's get started. Alright, so here we are in Final Cut Express. If you guys got Final Cut Pro, that probably actually work better, because if you're working with a video clip, you can then motion track the explosion to make it move with your background clip. So the first step in this is you want to come over here to detonationfilms.com and go to the effects stock footage page and find an explosion that you like. They got some that are already keyed out, some that are with a Luma key and are green screen. So find one that you guys like and then download it. I already got one right here, and so I'm just going to take this and drag it into my timeline. Alright, there it is. I'm just going to cut it so that there's no ad. Press B to bring up your blade tool, and then cut that part out if you guys want. If you guys don't already know. And then put that on video layer 3. Now you're also going to need either a video clip and or a little freeze frame. For tutorial purposes today, I don't want to get too much into the keyframing part, so I'm just going to be working with this little freeze frame of an old project. So let's just slide that right underneath that. And then here's an important part. Copy and paste that video clip and or picture. You guys see why in a little bit. And then I'll just cut off the extras. So after that, let's just see where the explosion goes to. But first off, let's line it up with our background to where we want it. I want it pretty much just on that log, maybe a little bit behind it. So let's say right there. That looks pretty good. So let's skim through it and see where the biggest part of the explosion happens. Like right there, the fireball's pretty big, so I'll keep it right there. And then remember that copy of the clip on video layer 2, select that, go to effects, video filters, color correction, and color corrector. Now you want this to look like the very peak of your explosion. So kind of like we did back on Friday's tutorial. If you didn't see that, click here. This is kind of like a follow-up episode. Flick the color corrector to pretty much as far red as you want it to go. Bring up your saturation, maybe bring it down, all depends on what you guys want to do. Or you can also change the hue to more of a reddish color or something, I don't know, do whatever you guys want. So after you do that, where you want the peak of the explosion, come up here to effects, video filters, matte, and 8-point garage matte. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to take all the points and put them around the explosion, to kind of give more of a closer if it's closer to the explosion, it's more denser, the red color around there, just to kind of give it more of a realistic look. So take each point, just kind of drag it around here, and you guys probably get the idea, I imagine. So I will see you guys once I'm done with this. Alright, so here I've got a really rough matte. This isn't supposed to be exact at all. This is just kind of to illuminate that area. I didn't do anything else just besides put the points around the explosion. But once you finish that, so it kind of looks something like this. Not exactly, but close to it. Come into the 8-point garage matte folder under the filters tab. And let's bring up the feather a lot. So let's say around 58 or something. This way it'll have a nice blend between the explosion and then the rest of the background. Let's also smooth out the edges a little bit, maybe. Yeah, it looks alright. Alright, now what we want to do is well, first off, here's the matte, just to kind of give you guys a visual reference about what's going down. So that's that. Alright, now make sure that's the second layer clip is selected, the copy, and come up here to effects, video filters, distort, and then earthquake. And this is going to give the a good illusion of the shaky footage like we saw. So filters, we don't need the 8-point garage matte, and let's just say, I don't know, let's just see how much it shakes. So I'm gonna render this really quick, and I'll see you guys once it's done rendering. Alright, lovely. It is all finished done rendering, and I apologize if I'm kind of skipping around. I'm trying to cut down on the video time. I've been noticing it's pretty close to around 10 minutes, which is the limit. So let's watch this. Alright, that amount of shaking is actually really good. It's what I want. But as you can see, it's obviously just that little area that's shaking, and also that's just that little area that's color corrected. But don't worry, we'll fix that all in a little while. So make sure that's selected again, and come up here to color correction. And now we're gonna kind of keyframe the color correction to make it grow and shrink with the clip. So let's put the playhead at the very beginning. Say about right there. Make sure it's selected, and come down here to the magnitude section underneath the color correction. It's maybe about 5, 6 down, maybe, I don't know. So let's keyframe the magnitude. Move ahead towards the peak of the explosion. Say maybe about right there. It doesn't have to be perfect. Alright, now let's continue on to where the explosion ends, about right there. And we'll keyframe the magnitude again. And now at the very last keyframe, let's bring that down to 0. As well as the very first keyframe, let's find that and bring that down to 0 as well. And what this will do is just kind of give the illusion that the whole entire world is lighting up with the explosion. Also, close that little tab and bring down the earthquake tab and do the same thing for the mix. Now most of the presets, as well as third-party filters for both Final Cut Express and Pro, they usually have a little mix tab, which is just kind of the overall amount of effect that it's the amount of that effect, I guess you'd say, of how it affects the clip. Now it's pretty easy to understand. It's kind of hard to describe though. I apologize if I sound like I'm stuttering or something. So let's move forward a couple frames to where the explosion really starts to happen, about right there. So let's hit that keyframe button again. So we have one at the very first, towards the beginning-ish. And now let's see where it kind of dies down, so about right there. Keyframe that again, and also, like before, bring the very first and the last keyframes down to 0. So let's say, where was the last one? Right here. Okay. So now let's render this, and I'll see you guys once it's done rendering. Alright, lovely. It is now done rendering, so we can watch it. Now I thought that was pretty cool how it kind of grew up and it kind of shrunk down. If you want to go the extra mile, you can always also add a keyframe the blacks, so it kind of when the black cloud goes up, it kind of like blocks out the sunlight. That's kind of more advanced, but if you guys feel up to it, go ahead and do it. So now what we want to do is probably the biggest thing is we need to apply these same filters to the normal clip, the background clip. So, and this is actually going to be really easy to do. This is why I saved it for last. Just take the color correction and the earthquake clip. You need to select them both at the same time by hitting the command key, or just individually. I'll just take both of them and I'll drag them straight on down, and I'll apply them to that clip. And as we can see here, we got the keyframes there for both the magnitude as well as the earthquake. So it should move really well, just like as if they were the same clip. Now, but the only thing I think we would want to change is the peak of the explosion, the amount of color correction, simply because it'll be kind of weird if it looked the same. So I'm going to bring that down to about 66. Let's see here. Let's try to find that one keyframe. Alright, now that looks a little bit too intense, so I think we might change down the red level. Bring that down, bring it not as high up. Now if you guys want to go the extra mile, you can also color correct the explosion, and that'll be very cool looking. Just make sure you guys know what you're doing by, you know, not making it look totally terrible or anything, and how it incorporates with the background well. That's all I have to bring to you guys. I will see you guys on Wednesday with an iWeb tutorial, and on Friday a Final Cut tutorial. So I will see you then.